Well, we already knew this was going to be the way. What better way for the Detroit Lions to get into the playoffs than to handle business themselves? And I believe that Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions wouldn't have it any other way. And that is the elusive playoff spot. We seem to be the only team in the NFC really that cannot clinch a playoff spot. We had an opportunity Monday, but the Philadelphia Eagles blew that, but kept us in the running for the first seed. And we had an opportunity tonight if the Saints pulled off the improbable and beat the LA Rams. And they were in it early, and then they gave the whole thing away. Chris Olave was dropping passes. Derek Carr looked like his old self. And again, we are not in the playoffs just yet, but that's okay because we can do away with all that come this Sunday, 12 p.m. Central, 1 o'clock our time here on the East Coast against the Minnesota Vikings. And again, I think the Detroit Lions would have it any other way. Today we would have got into the playoffs, but we still would have needed to win the division and secure that home playoff game. But we can do all three at the same time. But with that win over the New Orleans Saints today, the LA Rams have now moved from spot number 6 to spot number 7. Had to draw it out and be a little bit dramatic there. Here it is that, of course, 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles have already clinched. Detroit Lions can do all of that on Sunday. Look at this. I think this will be great for you guys watching. Playoff probability, if lose, still not greater than 99%. It's at 99% currently, and if they win, it is greater than 99%. There is some kooky scenario that I don't even want to entertain, that if the Lions were to lose out and some other teams win out, it would take like 4 teams to win out. We would have to lose out for us to not even make the playoffs. But again, it's probably more likely that you hit the Powerball than that happens. So we will get into the playoffs. And down here, you can see the Vikings had the 6th seed, and they are now moved down to the 7th seed. And the LA Rams at 8-7 are sitting at number 6. And look at this. Their playoff probability with today's win is 70%, which means that they are highly likely to get into the playoffs. And here it is that we are number 3 right now, and we would play 6. We have an outside chance at that number 2 seed, so it could go either way. Now, if you look down here, the Saints with that loss have a playoff probability of 22%. So in all likelihood, we're going to be number 2 or 3. A win on Sunday will lock up the number 3 spot and would fit us snugly in that number 3 spot. Now, the Rams do have 10 days off. Then they play somebody in week 17, and then that week 18 matchup is going to be giant. And as you can see from that graphic, the Rams' probability to make the playoffs is 70%. The Green Bay Packers, if they lose this coming week, they have a 4% chance. They currently have an 18% chance, and if they win the game on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers, they have a 24% chance to make the playoffs. So I had called this earlier in the season. I said that the Seahawks and the Packers would fall out and that the Vikings and Rams would make it in there. So I'm going to say that the Vikings and Seahawks are going to battle this thing out, and that one of those 2 teams will get the number 7 spot or 6 spot. And the LA Rams, trust me, Matthew Stafford is coming to Detroit. And all on Twitter today, all I saw was people hope that we don't play the LA Rams in the first round or anywhere in the playoffs. And I've been telling you that this is going to happen, and this is how it was going to go, like I've seen the script. I've told you guys before, the NFL is a narrative-driven business. They want ticket sales. And what greater way than to have the prodigal son return in Ford Field's first ever playoff game? You literally could not write a better script than that. And I saw it the whole time. And the LA Rams will come in. We're either going to be they're going to come to Detroit most likely, right? So if we're the number 2 seed and they're 6, that means they would have to beat the number 3 seed, which will probably be the if we get up to the 2 seed, that means that the 49ers the Cowboys will have fallen down to the 3 seed. So again, we play them. We play them in week 17. So this thing is going to get crazy. But I'm telling you, man, I am pretty sure that Stafford is going to wind up back at Ford Field in Ford Field's first ever playoff game. Matthew Stafford versus Jared Goff. You're talking about, whether it's the wild card or the divisional round, you're talking about a crazy storyline. That will be the spectacle of wild card weekend. But first, they got to secure that they get in. But I think they get in. 70% chance. They play somebody they really can beat this team in week 17. And then it's really going to come down to that San Francisco 49er game as far as seeding. I think the Rams are going to make it. And the crazy thing is that if we do indeed get to number 2 and the Rams are number 7, but then that means they come to Detroit, right? So that's the seed I want us to be as number 2 and have the Rams come to Detroit because we're guaranteed 2 home games. That would mean that probably if we're number 2 and the Dallas Cowboys are number 3, then the Dallas Cowboys will probably play the Minnesota Vikings. But it's shaping up to be a crazy time. But trust me, believe me when I say, man, Stafford will set foot in Ford Field for that playoff game, and then he comes next year as well. I believe he comes back. We play the MC West, and he will be back next year. So, but the head-to-head, because right now Stafford owns the head-to-head when it comes to Goff being a Detroit Lion. He also has the Super Bowl. So, hey, when it happens, I want you to come to this channel, this video, and say it happened, right? So that's what it is. Stafford goes from, and the LA Rams go from 7 to 6. They push the Vikings down. The Vikings now have a probability, like I said earlier, if they lose against us, a 36% chance to make the playoffs, which means that they'll probably be in 7. And if we can't get up to 2, then Stafford will be coming to Detroit for our first playoff game at Ford Field ever. So get ready for that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you afraid of Matthew Stafford and the Rams? I'm not. I welcome it. And I'm sure Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, Jared Goff, and the rest of the Detroit Lions welcome it as well. I saw a quote from C.J. Gardner-Johnson today. He said he was humbled by the fact that the Lions are a good team without him. And that told me a lot. That he thought that he really was going to be he's a valued piece, but he thought he was going to be needed. And we showed him that, hey, bruh, we don't really need you like that. We can win. So when you come back, you just going to elevate us to another level. So I think he's going to want to, a guy like him would welcome the competition. I don't think these guys are afraid of the LA Rams and Matthew Stafford. The Saints are a bad team, and we can beat them. We can beat the LA Rams, and I will be in attendance, and I want to see that. But first, we got to get this division win. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I think it's fitting that we could have clinched a playoff spot with the help of other teams, but it falls in our hands. And that's the way that I've always been preaching. Dan Campbell and everybody else say you can't leave it in the refs, and you can't leave it to other teams. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I did get my ticket to the stadium. I will be sitting in section 306, row 16, I think seat 17, somewhere around there. I will be leaving tomorrow evening, right around this time I should be asleep, and then I'll be getting on the road about 3 a.m. in the morning with the hopes of getting there at about 2 or 3 Central Time, and be ready for the game the next day. So if you are going to be going to the game, let me know. I think I'm going to be staying at the True. So, look me up, hit me up on Twitter, and we can link up or something like that. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.